Cavecast, the uncensored show for nerds of all kinds.
Movies are important to us, and it's something that, I think that our viewing of movies have changed over time, but, it's still the idea that even though we're not getting a physical thing, there's a love that we have for them. And it's when something new comes out that there's still that urgency to see it. But it's not the drive, to the town over and fighting traffic and, having to, it's like even the idea of like, is it even in stock? Like, can you call ahead and pray to God they're nice enough that they keep it for you? Like, because not all nice people worked at video stores. So it's an idea where it's like, dude, understand, I love movies too. So was there ever a time that you called ahead to try to have somebody save a movie for you? I don't know, like really what your relationship with like Blockbuster was back then.
So, I mean, it was just like anybody else, but ours was more in the fact of renting other movies that, would be kind of like a cult classic. Even then, like another, one of the big ones was Dude, Where's My Car?
Oh my God, dude. Solid movie.
So that was one that like Jake and I would be like, is it in? Can you go when it comes in, just call us, like, and so it was Blockbuster. And then our, one video store, well, it's the several that we had, but like the video store that was downtown. That they would do that for us because I knew a few people that worked there and stuff. So they'd be like, all right, I'll call you or whatever. But it's the like adrenaline rush of like, oh God, is it? Or like the video game that you wanted to go rent.
Oh God. Yeah. That's something that I think is super interesting now is that, you think about it like with how the times have changed and, we've already, acknowledged this is that we're getting old, it is what it is. We've seen so many things, happen and alter and evolve and in some ways get better and in some ways get worse. But there was something about going to Blockbuster when you knew that pizza was also a part of the deal.
Oh, for sure.
Like no, man, you're going to go pick up the movie and then you're going to go to Fox's or go to like, Pizza Hut or Giannino's or whatever. Like you're going to go to these places and you're going to go get, your couple of pies.
Yep.
And you're going to go home. Make sure the tape is rewound and if it isn't already. And I don't know, like it was kind of almost like a quest mission. Like it was a side quest of life. It was this cool thing where like you got to go just do something. And it was entertainment was the reward in the end. It was so cool.
I think that was part of it is when you had movie stores and Blockbusters and things like that. It had, like you said, it had this like quest about it where, one, if you didn't already have the movie on hold to go pick it up. But there was this whole thing where it was like, it's Friday night, it's, probably usually kind of dark or already been dark. And, you're going to get this stuff and sometimes it's snowing and sometimes it's blistering hot and you still get ice cream, before you go home. Like it was this like round trip that you did.
Yeah.
It took anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes half the time.
Yeah.
Because if you were smart, you called and ordered for the pizza as you were, before you left to go to the movie store. And then that way you could go pick it up on your way home. So
there was no app to keep track of when the pepperonis were going on. There was nothing like that.
So it's just the fact of like, there was this sort of like you said, almost like mission about it. And the mission was always the same, but the outcome with the movie was, like the benefit, like you said, like, which one were you getting or was it even in or like, like again, the video games also came into play with that where it was the same. Even if a game was older, there was still a really good chance that it was not there half the time and it fucking pissed you off.
Well, think about it is that, it was the group of nerds or the group of gamers that, maybe they had to cycle every time they would get a game where it's like, do not touch my copy of Final Fantasy. Like, it's like I come here every Monday and rerun it and do it because I have to give it back, on this certain day. Like there was this, I don't know, like for me, it was during the time of N64 games.
Yes.
And that was like, you get the cartridges. So it's like the one that you blow into that you're not supposed to, that it literally says on the back, don't blow into this thing.
Then why do it be working when you do? So fucking whatever.
But man, like it was cool to, I don't know, like there were a few games that I didn't have. Now, to be fair, I was young enough that I couldn't branch into the more mature games, even though I would argue that there weren't a lot of mature games back then.
Not at first, no.
Yeah, because I think it was more so when PlayStation showed up. That's when it was kind of like companies were a little more ballsy doing stuff. Or I think Grand Theft Auto was on an early system as well too, but like when it was the top down view.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's nuts.
I think with, touching on that whole, not very many mature games, there wasn't at first, but I think you're right. Once they kind of expanded those game systems, it kind of opened up a whole new world. But dude, going to Blockbuster or anything like that, where, like I said, whether it was a video game or the movies, it was just so much fun. And as an adult, it's like sad now that not only do I not get to do that, but my children don't do that at all. Like they never know that feeling of like having that excitement of that. And I almost feel like they got robbed.
Well, I agree. 'Cause it's this understanding of how the world worked at that point. Like it's, I think the way that I heard somebody say it was that it was like, dude, like back in the day, like whenever, Planet of the Apes was on TV, the whole town was on fire because Planet of the Apes was on TV. Like we didn't need internet to know. We had our TV guide. Like you had these certain things. And there was just this, dare I say, almost kind of primal nature when it came to it, where it was like, if you loved entertainment in the 90s and even getting into the 2000s, is that there was that quest. There was that, mentality that everybody had, unless if you, somehow if either got a hold of it, in a different way, which I don't even know what pirating would even be back then with tapes. 'Cause I don't think that was, I know it was always warned about and that it was a federal crime, but it's just interesting. Like I know that I had a very different perspective at that time. I was very young, you could get certain video cameras that you could plug in. And if you had your VCR or maybe even another camcorder, you could record the VHS onto it. No shit.
Yeah. So there was ways around what almost I don't want to say DVD burner, but while you were watching it, you could record it and you wouldn't get any interruptions because there was no, the sound was being fed through it a certain way. But I don't know the ins and outs, but I remember there was a way you could do it. And then when you started being able to burn DVDs,
that's when the whole world changed. It's nuts. Tonight is going to be a bit of a different experience from what we've been doing recently. Is that for anybody that doesn't know, is that we used to run the Cavecast on, or rather the Copyright 425 podcast on, we would look at a list of facts about something and we would just talk about them. Tonight's going to be kind of a mixture. We've got facts, we've got questions from Discord, we have all that stuff. So I figured that the best place to start was the beginning.
Okay.
I want to know, all the ins and outs of Blockbuster, but greatness is from small beginnings. Sic Parvis Magna. It's that whole idea that it's how did this titan that everybody knows and reveres and misses so much? It's how did this start? So all the links are going to be in the description if you want to follow the facts. There's, I think, three different sites that I kind of compiled all these different facts together from it. So if you want to reference it, they're all in the description. But starting off, the first Blockbuster store opened because of failing oil prices.
What the fuck?
Right? Okay, so I chose the good facts. There's a lot of them, but I wanted to handpick a couple of different things.
Does it elaborate, or is it just period, next question?
So... What this says is that Dallas, Texas entrepreneur David Cook was still starting from a collapsed oil market in 1985 when his wife, Sandy, broached the idea of opening up a video store. Cook had been writing computer programs to manage inventory for a big oil business, but a market collapse led to a stack of unpaid invoices.
Oh, shit.
All at the same time, the VHS rental market was exploding, growing from 7,000 stores in 1983 to 19,000 in 1986.
God damn.
The Cooks decided the industry could use a mega store with an inventory larger than the independent shops could provide.
Okay.
Sandy came up with the familiar blue and yellow color scheme, and Blockbuster was born. So Blockbuster was not even born out of the idea of, somebody strictly wanting to do movies or distribute it. It was, no, we need to figure something out. We have to pay the bills.
God.
And they're like, well, something cool's happening with VHSs. Why don't we try to cash in on that? Or why don't we try to do something?
Is any of the facts why it was blue and yellow and why they call it Blockbuster?
Not that I could find on this one.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it was interesting that it was from oil.
Yeah. It's just, it's weird that you go from oil to that, but it's also interesting then why he picked certain colors and then why he named it that. the name maybe not so much, but with him being like kind of in that like maybe marketing industry, the blue and yellow has to do something. Like it's probably like statistically speaking, that's what people gravitate towards or something stupid like that.
Well, I've actually even done it with the clips that we've posted for the Cavecast was that, again, there's no such thing as an original idea, and you always borrow techniques from what people have done. Is that I looked at Joe Rogan clips, and I was looking at, the idea of how their thumbnails were made is that they had a yellow border around whatever, the subject of like whatever they were talking about, and then it would have somebody on the side of who was speaking. So it's Joe or if it's somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting that the color yellow, when I would scroll through, their clips would always catch my eye.
Sure.
So it makes me wonder where it's like, well, no, they weren't using it in a market for, people on their phones because this was not a thing yet. But if you're driving down the strip,
right,
blue and yellow are very contrasting colors. I think maybe it was like a marketing ploy or something.
That's
like
what I'm saying. I
yeah.
wonder if it was because then it's also, I swear, I don't know all this stuff offhand, but something about like blue is like a calming color for like your mind and body. So I wonder if it was one of those, like it catches your eye, but also like you kind of gravitate towards that because it's a calming feeling. I don't know. It was just weird because I'm like, there's gotta be something behind the colors.
Sure.
So,
I mean, who knows? Like, I mean, because you and I have had, so many times that, we've had our kitchen talks and we've done things like what were their kitchen talks like whenever they were trying to figure this out, when they're up super late, they're worried about paying bills. Like, could you imagine being a part of a business where you have so many unpaid invoices that you literally have to figure something else out? Like, and little do you know the platform that you're about to have, but it's like, it's insane. Like it was probably done out of some urgency. And maybe it was this thing of them being like, well, let's catch their eye. Let's just make sure that they can't miss us. They don't have to like us, but maybe they just can't miss us, So,
and imagine the fact of doing something almost out of a scramble situation and it not being sloppy as fuck and it being successful.
Right.
Like Blockbuster arguably is the biggest fucking company like that ever. Like,
yeah,
I don't think there is another one like that. So that's really interesting.
This next fact is also very interesting.
Okay.
I did not know this because as, a kid, when we would go to the movie gallery, I knew that there were questionable things that you could rent, or there was, the section in the back where only adults could go.
Porn. It's called porn, Kyle.
I was building to it. I'm being artistic. No, but yeah. So it's just that part never really clicked for me as a kid. Check this out. Blockbuster abstained from porn. Unlike many mom and pop shops that had a neon sign and a set of swinging doors that led to an adult section of titles, the cooks decided early on that Blockbuster would be, I love how they say this, it would be a genital-free zone.
Interesting.
It wasn't a moral issue for them. They, to quote, they said, "We don't care if people watch pornography. We just don't want to sell it to you. A lot of families came to our store only not because of the selection and not because of the long hours and not because of the convenient checkout and the 3-day rentals. They came because they didn't mind their kids running around the store because they wouldn't see any garbage."
Fair.
That's a very interesting way to look at it.
But usually those are kind of off the beaten path though. But like, no, that is that's a very interesting thing where it's like you didn't have to worry about that. You're absolutely right. So that's a very interesting fact. I like it.
It's, I think that, I don't know, to me, I would look at it that from a marketing standpoint, I figured that you would want to cover all your bases. Now, clearly in the long run, they didn't need it. But
Correct.
it's like, wow. Like,
I think maybe their thought is almost in that fact of, if they're big enough, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they just, you said earlier where it was like they wanted something that was a larger than normal inventory. So if you have the inventory for all of the new movies, you don't need pornography to cover all your bases. You're still covering everybody's bases because it should theoretically be in stock for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, I think maybe that's what they were going at as well, where, yeah, from a marketing and sales standpoint, it probably was not a good idea, but in the long run, it was.
Right.
Yeah.
This next one, I read the title of this fact and I went, wait, what? I'm like, I need to know more context. Blockbuster was sued by Nintendo. It was inevitable that Blockbuster and the other video chains would capitalize on the resurgence of video games in the 1980s by renting out popular titles. Mario and Link, however, were not willing to cooperate. Sticking to its reputation for stern business, Nintendo sued the company in 1989 for copyright infringement. It's funny that even back then people were dealing with copyrights, just not only, you know, I guess maybe the easy access of what we had to upload something, but complaining that stores were photocopying game manuals. Blockbuster said they were simply compensating for the worn out originals. The two wound up settling in court. By 1994, Nintendo had capitalized on its anti-rental stance, and Blockbuster reported that the game rentals made up 8 to 10% of their revenue.
Wow.
So it didn't really matter, but yeah, so that's kind of like that moral like ground of it's like, no, we're making sure manuals are taken care of. It's like,
right.
Well, no, like if people can get their hands on it, if that's what was happening, you know, that's just interesting that someone like Nintendo saw that and was like, no, get it out, you know?
That's crazy because, I mean, Nintendo, you could still rent stuff from there, but now that I'm thinking about it, I think there was certain games that you couldn't rent, maybe there, whether it was permanently or for a short period of time. Like, I'm really trying to remember going to the one. Do you remember where the Blockbuster was near us? Do you remember?
I do.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
And it's actually one of those that when I drive past it now, there is a part of me that kind of gets sad because I want to see the big blue ticket.
Right.
Dude, it was so cool. Like, even if I knew that I wasn't going there,
it's
I'm
like 4 stores now.
Right.
And like, what?
It's, I mean, granted, they used their space really well, but it's like,
no,
man.
they didn't. It's a failing Verizon, a bullshit Starbucks, and a fucking Best Clips or whatever.
Isn't Chipotle there?
Yeah, that too.
I like Chipotle.
Fine. Give it that one.
So, but no, it just, to me, it was this moment of seeing it from the street and, you know, being like, if I was in a car, you know, like, or no, I would be in a car, but if I was just riding in a car, it was just that moment of like looking and seeing it pass by where it's like, man, not today.
Yeah.
But Friday.
In 2 days or whatever it is. Like, you get the big pizza or, you know, whatever, like we were talking about. Like, yes, you kind of like looked forward to it. Yes, for sure.
I even kind of think that Taco Bell slapped different back then too on that.
Oh, facts, dude. Oh, big facts. And it was right across the street.
So, all right, this next one I thought was really funny. It said, Blockbuster made a fortune on late fees, and damn right that they did. It's difficult to lose money gambling on the overbooked, overworked American consumer, and Blockbuster was no exception. The company profited enormously from late fees, which occurred after the 1 or 3 day rental term and had expired. In 2000, $800 million or 16% of total revenue came from fines.
Goddamn, Joe Rogan.
After the company revamped its policies in 2004 to trumpet no more late fees, New Jersey State Attorney Generals cried foul. While that may have been technically correct, a movie or game more than 8 days late meant the customer was charged the full price of the actual item.
Okay, so that's where that started.
Yes. Though Blockbuster's policy was to reverse the charges within 30 days, if the consumer returned the item, they were still charged a restocking fee. So no matter what it was, is that even when they like how they put it all together, they were still making a buck.
Well, no, I mean, that's actually quite genius. And I don't mind the fact of having something like that done where it's like, okay, well, you've got to pay the fine or give it back. And it's like, okay, well, what's the fine? You know, it's $25, $30, whatever it is. Like you said, you kept it for that long. They're giving it to you. You just have to buy it now.
Yeah.
They're not ripping you off anymore, like quote money per se, as far as like marking it up double, but it's like, you fucked around. You didn't come back. Now you own it. So give me my $30, motherfucker. But no, that's, I actually don't mind that because what's it, like GameFly and like, you know, Redbox and stuff did that too, where it was like, it just charged your account. You just now own the thing. So
yeah,
either way, I was kind of guilty of that where I'm like, I'm just not going to return it. It's mine.
I was just about to ask you, what was some of the stuff that you just let late fees go out on?
There was one of them it was a Redbox, but it was NBA 2K.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. That was when I was like, nah, fuck it.
That's what system was it for?
My PS3.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep.
What's funny is that I think that the only thing that I ever got late fees on, and it's funny because this was actually a Discord question, so I figured we'd just tackle it. But
I got late fees like a motherfucker.
Yeah,
but
so like, It's man, it was Casper. That was my main thing. Now, granted, that was Movie Gallery at the time, but whenever if I was at Blockbuster and if it was one of those nights where like there was nothing new coming out,
sure,
because I mean, that's the other thing about Blockbuster that was awesome is that they handled new releases so
like a
well,
fucking champ,
dude. And it's the fact that it was
that wall,
dude. It's the fact that it's like you would go up to it and see like the paper that like would show yes, this is the movie, but it's gone.
Yeah, you're like, motherfucker, why did you even put it there?
There's like Arnold Schwarzenegger's over in the corner with an M16, you know, Keanu Reeves is, you know, diving, you know, like getting ready, like getting away from the bullets. Like,
yep.
It was so damn cool. It was so awesome to be there for.
It was almost like walking into a movie theater.
Yeah.
Without being able to go into the theater. It was like almost like that front room vibe.
Yes.
Before you went into the theaters.
Yeah.
Because it did have the cutouts. It had the flashy lights. It had the neons. It had this, but it was all just full of movies and games. But
right.
That whole wall, like I remember ours, I don't know if they were all like this, but I remember the one in Wadsworth where it was when you walked in, it was to the left, and that whole wall wrapped all the way down and around, and that was the new releases.
Mm-hmm.
They kept it within like so many months, I felt like, and then the rest was all fair game of like after that, you know, time frame.
Right.
And you kind of like made this walk around. Yeah, they had their sections, but it was like you still just kind of looked to see what was there, no matter what like genre it was. Like, dude, it was so cool. Fuck, I missed that place. God.
What if I told you that we could have gotten Blockbuster in another form of something that was entertainment? If you had, okay, let me ask you this, because I'm going to read the fact. But if you had to guess, and Blockbuster was going to branch out and try something different with the name Blockbuster, what do you think that they would try to do? I'll tell you, but I'm just curious as to what your first initial thoughts, if they were to try to branch out at all.
Pizza and wings?
Oh,
like, well, is it food related or is it still like movie related?
It is entertainment, entertainment related.
So then I would have to say something like a putt and stuff or something like that. Like maybe like yeah.
Okay. Blockbuster tried becoming a mini amusement park.
Yeah, something like that. Right.
So check this out. It says, though he eventually turned the company over to other investors, Cook anticipated the idea that Blockbuster could become more than just a rental outfit when he named the company Blockbuster. Blockbuster Entertainment in 1985. In 94, executives tried to make good on the label by opening a center dubbed the Blockbuster Block Party in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Block Party. Let's go.
Spread out over 60,000 square feet, the adult amusement park featured laser tag, mazes, and motion simulator rides.
That's what I was basically trying to get at. Like, like a putt and stuff or a swings and things or whatever the fuck they're called. Like, like laser, like, God damn it, why wasn't that a thing?
So it says the press referred to it as a miniature Disneyland on steroids, but unfortunately the concept never caught on.
That's bullshit.
See, now think about this, is that we have been to Florida. We've talked about, our trip and everything, like, me having, my episode at Universal Studios and all the stuff that happened there. But could you imagine having all of these mini parks throughout the entirety of, whether it's America or if it does reach worldwide, depending on how successful, like a big what if, like Ultra Universe kind of thing, where there is a local theme park that you have that is movie based. It's almost like having like a mini
Stop
Universal
giving people
Studios.
ideas on the internet, Kyle.
Let's do it ourselves. I want a quarter every time somebody does it. So no, but dude, it's just it's so wild. And the thing is, when I first read that, I thought, well, that's kind of dumb. Like, I mean, why like amusement park? You're a rental place, but no, like it is. It's so wild how I like, because I mean, we fight this battle all the time whenever we're thinking of what we're going to do on YouTube next. And like, like the idea of just like, well, what if we try this or what if we do this? Sometimes outlandish ideas land. Mm-hmm. And it's that thing of like, okay, well, if we hadn't tried and put this out there, now we have a simpler, way we do things as far as like we try new artists or we try different like topics, but man, like what a big decision to be like, no, I'm going to buy land. I'm going to hire security. I'm going to build, all these different rides or hire people to do this stuff. And it's going to be like even the name, the Block Party.
Yeah, that was genius.
That is so cool. Like
that was genius.
It makes me think of like a cul-de-sac. Like it's like if you were to make the entire amusement park as like a cul-de-sac, and like each house is like different things that you can do.
Yeah,
it's oh my god, like. I mean, honestly, yeah, eat your heart out, putt and stuff. Like, come on, like it's like you can bring something a little better than that, So, but okay, we're kind of getting into the downward spiral.
Okay.
Again, this is, if you guys want to read all the facts, I'm skipping a lot of different stuff, but this one was very interesting. Blockbuster turned down Netflix. Netflix was just beginning its ascension into a DVD by mail and streaming giant when CEO Reed Hastings met with Blockbuster in 2000 to pitch the possibility of his company handling Blockbuster's online efforts. All this time, Blockbuster couldn't conceive how Hastings could add any value to their enormously successful enterprise.
Get the fuck out of here.
According to Forbes, Hastings was laughed out of the room. If that is not
look who's laughing now, motherfucker. I don't mean to be like that, but God, fucking what? You should have listened.
Could you imagine what if there was
blue and yellow would have still been a thing?
It's like it would be on the TV where it's like, pull the Blockbuster app, but it's still search the horror section. Dude, could you imagine being that guy that probably started the laughter in the room? Like, dude, I get it that they didn't have.
He's dead now.
Like it's like they didn't know what technology was going to do. Like, let's face it, like, even though we had streaming capability, even before COVID hit, theaters were still a big thing. It was still go out and do these things. Like, we never really lost that aspect. It's just nuts to think that it's like, they could, like, we couldn't perceive that, that movies would move the way that they did, where it's like, if you were to go back in time and talk to younger Eric and say, all right, you're going to binge all these shows. There's going to be a show that you're going to watch all the time. You're going to be able to watch any movie that you want that you can throw on, anything from the Harry Potter series. And you're going to go, what's the Harry Potter series? You're like, just wait. So
right.
Like, there's this perspective I think that we have as humans where it's just like I think we underestimate ourselves of the reach and the things that we can do. And I know that sounds weird to say it about Netflix and Blockbuster, but clearly Netflix won. It won the game.
It did.
It's just it's unfortunate because I do love Blockbuster, but the convenience of Netflix is also something that softens the blow a bit, I think.
What really upsets me is I know we've talked about it before, but the losing of several movie theaters that we grew up with. And I was actually just talking to Meg about this last night, and I think I know I've said this before, but I actually think I know what I want to do if and when, the YouTube allows for, revenue like that in the future.
Yeah.
If Farallon is still available.
Yeah.
I want to buy it. I want to buy it. And from what I understand, I could be wrong, but from what I hear is that when you take over a theater, they don't throw away the movies. You get the library of whatever since the day it opened.
Oh,
apparently.
Shit.
I could be wrong, but that's what I've heard. And not that I know that theaters are slowly going to become not a thing, but as far as being popular, but again, that whole $2, $3, $4 movie night and come see Terminator 2 for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And this one, and then, How the Grinch Stole Christmas is on here, even if it is July.
Yeah.
It's $3 or whatever it is. Just come hang out and see these movies again. I would love that.
Yeah.
And things like that, they slowly disappear. Blockbusters are completely gone. Movie theaters are slowly becoming the next thing. Redbox is not a thing anymore because, like you just said, you can stream things now.
Why would I go out and try to find if this is available?
Correct.
It is available.
Right. And the fact that, telling my younger self all of these things, it sounds so futuristic.
Yeah.
That you almost get laughed out of the room, kind of like old boy for Netflix. It's like,
yeah,
it doesn't seem real and the power behind it could actually be, but it is. And it's throwing a lot of things out of a focus here. And Blockbuster's a big one. I fucking hate that we can't just go rent a movie anymore. I love that. But like you said, the convenience is so much there. I can watch Uncle Buck the second I want to watch it on anything that I just type it in.
Well, to think about it, even the other day when we had issues with the AC and everything when we couldn't record, what did you do? You looked at me and you said, "Hey, Evil Dead Rise is on Max. Do you want to watch it?"
Right.
And it was just,
I have the app.
Yeah, it's cool. Let me make dinner. Let's do it. Like, let me get something to eat real quick. Like, it's such an easy thing. And I don't know, like,
it wasn't, hey, let me go downtown and see if it's in.
Right.
And we might get to watch it tonight when the AC's out. Yeah. Like, I get it. But at the same time, I don't get where people don't like that like, adventure or that time to like go out and actually do it. I know that people are busy, but I think that if those things just stuck around, they would still be around for a reason.
Isn't it interesting? Even in the movie I Am Legend, when Will Smith's character went to the video store, and I mean, granted, that was him dealing with, not having anybody around, but
he had all the mannequins.
Yeah. Like, can you imagine being the last man on Earth? There are no rules.
Oh, quiet.
It would be quiet. I was actually in Van Wert, Ohio the other day, and I looked at all the open fields, and I was like, "Oh God, it's so nice here. There's nothing. It's perfect." Like, so, no, it's so interesting to me that his character, that's when he grew up, was going to rent movies. And, even though there's no new releases, there's nothing like that, he still wanted to have that Blockbuster experience. I know that I'm boiling it down to its simplest forms, but I think that's huge. Like, I mean, there's many things you could pick apart about that movie that are awesome, but it's like, nah, dude, like, that was so interesting. Like, him walking in and, putting back the Last Action Hero or whatever, and then grabbing Predator or whatever. Like, it's just, man, way
to name drop 2 Arnold movies.
Yeah, right. I like Arnie. No, but California. No, but what if I told you that we could go to one Blockbuster?
Okay, so
do you know where the final Blockbuster is?
I've heard there is one last final boss that just does not go down, but I cannot remember. Is it Texas still?
It's not Texas.
Okay, because I know it was like somewhere not off the beaten path. I'm like, wow, it's there. So, okay, where is it?
So the last Blockbuster, located at the intersection of U.S. Route 20 and Revere Avenue, the Blockbuster in Bend, Oregon, was opened by Ken and Debbie Tischer in 1992 as the second location of Pacific Video and a small video rental store chain in the state. In 2000, Tischer converted it into a Blockbuster franchise store. Sandy Harding has been the general manager since 2004. The location has become a popular tourist destination since becoming the last Blockbuster. Ken Tischer, who still owns the store, continues to license the Blockbuster trademark from Dish Network on a yearly basis, which also allows the location to sell merchandise using the name. The store also stocks around 1,200 titles and has an estimated 4,000 members who regularly rent movies.
Dude,
we need to go, dude. We need to fucking go. Dude, I want to go so bad.
Let's fucking go, man. I will go there, buy a shirt, and turn around and go home. I'm just saying like that, dude, for sure.
What's funny is there's actually somebody on Instagram. Her name is Allie. She was talking about it. She lives in Oregon, and she's like, "There's one that's here in. I think it's like maybe like an hour away from her or something." She's like, "No, it's real. Like it's here." So. Maybe
she needs to take a photo of it.
Right. Send it to us. I need to see it. Like, if I can't physically touch it, just let me know. It's nuts because even they talk about the memorabilia that they sell. It's that the store displays several pieces of film memorabilia that formerly belonged to actor Russell Crowe, including his hood from Robin Hood, the robe and shorts from Cinderella Man, and vest from Les Mis, and the director's chairs from American Gangster. Like, it just it has like all these different like. It's borderline, in my opinion. I think it's almost kind of like a museum. It's, yes, it is a place that it functions as like you can still go and rent movies, but it's kind of like, nah, dude, this is special. Like, so we're celebrating art here.
I wonder if they still let you rent some VHSs or if it's all DVD.
I would imagine it's probably all DVD.
But did you see there was, I don't remember the people's names, but there was 2 different people. One guy completely just for himself redid his giant basement and made it a like a movie rental or whatnot.
Oh, really?
Like to what it looked like. And then there was another guy. It was him and his wife. They had like a special needs son. I think I don't know if he was like autistic or something, but they built him because he was actually older, like in his 30s.
Yeah.
They built in their basement their own like little Blockbuster lookalike because it still gave him that comfort zone and he could go down and pick out and rent movies like he used to do.
Dude, it's so wholesome. That is so good.
Dude, that was the most amazing thing. Like, I'm not crying, you're crying. Like, yeah, like that's the shit that I love.
So, okay. This one is this is a question from Muse, and I think that we have covered a lot of these questions as we've been talking, but I think this is probably one of the most important questions that you could be, asked about when it comes to Blockbuster. And I can't really remember because I was so young. You'll probably be able to answer this better, but Muse wants to know, were you the kind of person who was kind and remembered to rewind?
100%, dude. Fuck them people that didn't. They even sold motherfucking things that look like cars and shit that you could put the bitch in and rewind it for you. So don't even get me started. Rewind your shit.
Because that's something that nobody will ever like have any kind of like perspective on now.
Now I gotta wait 9 more fucking minutes to watch my fucking movie.
It just gives you that just the whole time.
Just insulting the shit out of you the whole time.
So, all right. Let's see. Yeah. Delmar wants to know, what was your best experience with or because of Blockbuster? Was there anything that you remember? Maybe it was a time with friends or something, or like just maybe experiencing something. Like what was your thing?
I think more so the scenario was once I got a little bit older, it was with like my buddy Jake or like my girlfriend at the time. Like that's where it was like, what are we going to do tonight? Like not that you're grown up, but it's like we made the decision on, we want to watch Dazed and Confused again for the 39th time and get, East of Chicago pizza.
Right.
Like that was like, it was just like that vibe. It wasn't really necessarily one thing. It was the environment, the clothes I remember seeing, what girls looked like as far as like their hair and makeup, what guys wore as far as their jeans and t-shirts. And there was just like this whole like vibe about it. And that's what I miss. And that's kind of what I always looked forward to. And you also wanted to scope out the hot chicks that were there. So, yeah.
It's, again, I had a very, very different experience with that store. I wasn't even able to see above, the shelves. I was that little.
Right.
I don't know, man. There was something interesting about when we would go as a family, and like the parents are just as excited as you are.
Well, of course.
And I know that we grew up in a very, creative, forward like home, like it's like my biological dad was always about video games. Clearly that rubbed off on me, and always had a theater system and always like wanted to the best thing to enjoy the content that we are so fortunate that we get to actually experience. And then there was mom, and like mom grew up when Halloween came out and went and saw it. I don't know if it was opening night, but her and Aunt Heidi went and saw Halloween. Like,
oh no, it was opening night.
Oh, was it? It was?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because that's what they actually took a photo. Her, Aunt Heidi, and oh my gosh,
was it Lisa?
I think it was Lisa.
Okay.
And it was at the Wadsworth one that's not available or not there anymore, but they said something about it was the 30-year remake or whatever, and it said 30 years later opening night, just like the first. I swear they went on opening night, but no, mom was on it. So yeah,
we had a family that loved entertainment and still does to this day. And there's this thing, like, it's like getting on a roller coaster or, going, to see fireworks when you're a kid or whatever. Like, it's this, I guess, I don't know, this abstract nature of fun that is just, it's like, man, like I got to see that the adults were just as happy to be there as I was. And, and the fact that it's like us going home and then now we get to sit and watch this as a family and laugh when something happens and, or maybe turn it off because we just can't deal with this or this is not for kids. Like,
sure.
Because the one memory that sticks out to me was when we got Starship Troopers. That
Fucking
was
love that movie.
Great movie, and a movie that still holds up today with CGI. Like
facts. And PH is in it.
Right. It's. I remember they started the movie. And,
titties.
I know. I'm just immediate tits. All it is, just titties in the frame the whole time. It was for anybody that's not seen it, is that the movie starts essentially with like a recruiting thing of, I'm doing my part. And it's very formal. And then you get into the battle, and oh my God, it is the polar opposite. It is like they just pull a rug out from under you, and some dude gets bit in half by this giant bug.
Yep.
Some dude gets ripped into 1,000 pieces, and they're screaming.
Sucking your brain out.
I remember at one point, I think Mom looked at Dad and she's like, "We are done." No, he's like, "You are turning it off," and they're not like Kyle's not watching this until he goes, or sorry, he's not watching this at all. We're gonna watch this when he goes to bed.
I was like, "Yeah, I can't wait."
So like, because I even remember there were times that I would hide outside of the living room whenever it was being watched. And I fucking regretted it. I was seeing people getting mutilated. Like, so I was like, oh, I can handle it. And I turn around the corner and I'm just like, oh no, I'm gonna go back in the basement and watch Mr. Rogers or whatever I was doing. Like, it just, I don't know. It was, to me, it was this unattainable thing at that point because there were movies I was not allowed to watch.
Right.
And this thing from a store that my parents picked up that they genuinely wanted to see. Let's probably be fair, Dad probably wanted to see it more than Mom, but it's just, I don't know, like that was so cool. Like it's like this art invaded your home for a while. It became your very thought life of just like, man, like, do you want to watch it again?
Yeah.
And it's
because you had a couple of days,
right? It's like 2 or 3 days. Yeah.
And do you remember when they would start doing like, I know, I'm pretty sure Blockbuster did it as well, but like I know that like our local ones and stuff would do it too, where it was rent 2 new releases, get 1 free, or rent 1 old, get 1 free,
Sure.
or like you would get shit. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm getting this and Hellraiser. Like I only paid for 1. Like fuck yeah, that was the best, dude. I love those deals.
To wrap everything up, this was one of the coolest facts that I saw on this, and I was like, wow, like sometimes you just can't write things. Like it's too good to write. It just had to happen naturally. Someone noticed the title of the last movie ever rented at Blockbuster. Aside from the independently owned in-name only stores, the last official Blockbuster video location closed in November 2013. The last title rented? Seth Rogen's 2013 apocalyptic comedy, This Is the End.
No.
Yes. The company posted a photo of the moment on its Twitter page.
Dude, that's hilarious.
And yes, the customer still had to return it. It was just, dude, it was insane.
That how fitting. Like that is like he's probably so proud of his fucking self. Like, fuck, good job.
There's
Sorry, I had a coughing fit.
Yeah, no, you're good, man. You're good. So either way, I'm blown away that we got to experience this, and just it's something that, like, again, it's like the kid that's like, Dad, can you fast forward this song on the radio or get past the commercials? It's like, you can. It's the radio. It's like, what do you mean? Just hit the button.
Yeah,
and it's like that's not what's happening. That's not what it is. It's just this unseen, time I think that we have now that people just, they don't understand, and the people that do understand, they do long and they miss it. And I'm thankful that we got to experience it, and just knowing that they had, again, there's no better way to end it than with This Is the End. So right. In my opinion, I think that there's a lot of pedigree that I think that we do need to go to the last Blockbuster and go check it out. Make a vacation.
Oh, for sure.
Check it out. Do our thing. But guys, appreciate you hanging out with us. This was a fun time. We love doing nostalgic stuff. And remember, as you always say, like, remember or whatever for a fact for them.
Be kind, rewind.
Be kind and rewind. So either way, guys, we love you. We appreciate you. And we will talk with you in the next one. Adios.